Hi guys, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm on to make some little pockets to put into journals, and I want to use some of the pictures out of this Perennials book. Now, if you've watched my book hauls for a while, you would have seen a few of these from the series. They're the Time Life Encyclopedia of Gardening series. So they have a number of different books featuring different plants. Some of my favourites are the perennials, the annuals and the bulbs, of course, because they have the most beautiful flowers. But you do get trees and lawns and ground covers and that, and they still have some beautiful pictures as well. But yeah, there must be 10 odd in the set. But look at the pictures, you get the illustrations. And they have these borders around them. They're perfect for journal cards and to put on tags. You get a few different sizes, but great sizes for your journals. Chock-a-block full of beautiful pictures. So about half the book is your illustrations like this. Unfortunately, double-sided, so you do have to make a choice of which side you're going to use. And then you get some photographs and information on flowers and bugs and that as well. And some of those pictures, like the bug ones, can be quite neat for your journals too. Sometimes I keep some of these types of pictures for my collaging. And there's some beautiful pictures there. So definitely worth grabbing. So I think I will go to the back here and we will find a couple of pages that we might like to use today to show you how I make my pockets. Like these purple ones standing out to me. So I'm just going to find where the signature has been sewn in. Not that I'm usually this careful when I do this. I usually just rip them all to bits, but just use my seam ripper to take apart the signature. Tightly strung, a bit like me. So usually I'd just take the cover off, keep the coloured start pages for myself, and then take the signatures apart. And then, yes, we did harvest a whole lot of them just to make room in my bookcase for more books, of course. So I have a box that's chock-a-block full of these beautiful pictures, which I am going to have so much fun with. So let's see which pages I've loosened up here. Yep, that's good. So I'll just take these couple out. Next, I'll grab my cutter. Haven't changed the blades for a while, so it's a bit rough, but it'll do. Oh, no, it's got those pictures on the back. But I do have 2 copies of this still, so, and the pictures elsewhere. So it won't matter. See, I'm going to lose these pictures if I use those pictures, but I think I'll use the bigger pictures for my pockets. Those ones would be lovely for bookmarks and tags and that sort of thing. We will leave the page pretty well intact as it is. I'm just going to take the rough edge from where I pulled the pages apart off. I try and keep it semi-straight. Doesn't look straight there, but it looked straight down the bottom, so I'll just go by that. Then I want to cut my pictures apart. Now I do want a bit hanging down the bottom. I think I'm going to lose my borders when I make my journal cards, so I'll fold within the borders. So what I might do is cut the top border off of our bottom flower there, and that will give me a little bit hanging down the bottom of this one, which you'll see why after. Now I'll also take a little bit off of this side. We want to leave a little bit hanging over to be able to fold over to glue our back onto. Just makes nice room in our pocket there. So I'll just take a bit of it off though, because we don't need that much, which I could have done before I cut them apart, but that's all right. So we've still got that little bit there. And we'll want a bit on the bottom, but not as much as we've got, so I'll take this off too. You can, if you want, leave the borders visible and the name of the flower, which I have done in another pocket that I'll show you afterwards. We want to take the top border off. Yeah. So next I'll grab my scoreboard in. So first I want to score just in where this border line is, because we don't want to see the border. Turn it over and I'll do the same with this side's border. Then I'm going to turn it around this way and I'll line up the bottom border. I think that's the right note, one up. And what I'm doing is the whole page, going across the whole page. That will help guide us to where we want to chop this part off. So there are all the scores done for now. Grab my scissors. So next we will cut some of the bits off that we don't need. So I do like to just cut a little bit off of there, so it's angled in a bit, and that way when you fold this bit in, there's none sticking up over here. It just looks a bit neater. And we'll do the same down the bottom here, just into where we're going to be folding the bottom up there. And then we'll do the same for our bottom flap as well. So we'll be chopping this bit off on an angle. And then we'll do an angle up to this corner too, where we'll be folding it. And then we want to chop this bottom flap off on the text side. Now I'll probably have to take that up a bit in a minute, but for now we'll leave it. We can trim some off afterwards if we need to. So you can see here we've got a flap down the bottom and a flap on the side, and they've got angled edges. Having an angled edge here will stop bulk being right here where we're folding it, so that helps with that. But it just makes it all look a bit neater as well. So the next thing I want to do is fold my flaps. So I'll fold this one in first, and just making sure that we're seeing a bit of the border here so I know it's not on the front. Sometimes I just have to adjust it a bit because my scoring's not the straightest. And we'll fold our bottom flap up again, just checking that we've got that line there. That's pretty good. Burnish them down nice and flat. So they will be sitting like that. I usually put the side one folded first and then the bottom up, and that way when you're slipping things into the pocket, they're not going to get caught on this bottom bit here. I think that works. So, and then we can fold over our little pocket this way. Like that. Sometimes you might see a little nick there where I've cut a bit crooked or something, and when that happens I just open it up, see where the problem is, grab my scissors and just cut that off a bit neater there. That should fix that. Yep, and then if you have to, you can cut the little bit there that's sticking out, as long as you don't cut the corner off. There. So now our pocket looks like that. So I've got an overhang there. So to get rid of that, I just draw a line with my pencil. There. And then cut within that line. So it's not sticking, not overhanging our pocket that way. Like that. So that's basically the pocket done. Now I just check for any overhang this way. Sometimes you'll have a bit of text that you can see down the bottom or up the top, so I just check. Now it's a bit rough up here because of my cutter being a bit blunt. So what I can do is just run my scissors along and cut those rough bits off. Just a bit neater. Now if you wanted to put a thumb notch in, you might want to do it now before you stick it together. Personally, in these ones, I don't like thumb notches. It distracts from the beautiful picture, and it also would leave us able to see some of the text underneath. unless you want to cover the inside or something. So I'm not doing thumb notches, but I will show you afterwards what I do to try and help me slip items in and out of my pocket. So now I just stick it together. So I'm just using my tacky glue here. Just get my greaseproof paper so I don't get glue on my cutting mat. Make sure my glue's going, yes. Still got rust in my glue from my pin that disintegrated. I now have a stainless steel pin. So I add the glue to that side first, and that will stick this bottom to that side piece. And then I add some glue to the bottom piece there. And then you just fold your back piece over and stick it down. The tacky glue can take a little bit to dry, so just press it down a bit here and there to make sure it adheres nicely. Did do a very good job of neatening up this back piece, so I'll just do that. It's a bit better. So you want to let your glue dry good before you do the next part, but since I'm on camera I won't. I grab my corner rounder, and then I just want to round these two top corners. And I think that finishes it off beautifully like that. So then you have your pocket there. And you can fit a fair bit in there, nice thick tag if you need to. And I think that's helped by the fact that we did our little flaps. They help create a little bit more wiggle room within the pocket. And just make it nice and neat. That's the back, and it looks nice and neat. Now I would use these as a floating pocket. I'd just clip them onto the side of a page, or you could slip them in a bigger pocket in your journal. Or if you want, you can just stick the text part down to a page and have it a pocket that's been stuck into your journal. So I would leave them like this until I'm ready to put them into a journal. If you want to have it as a floating pocket, you could always stick some blank paper on this side as writing space. But it actually doesn't look too bad with the text, especially because the text is about flowers and that as well. It fits in with the theme, which is nice, and I think they make gorgeous pockets. You could also embellish them a little further by adding some stamping or a little cluster, washi tape, a ribbon, whatever you like. But again, I'd probably leave them like this until I go to put them in whichever journal, and then embellish them further if I need to. Could, of course, ink around the edges and that. I think they're just gorgeous without ink, these, but it does depend on the style of journal you're doing. So we'll do one more together, and then I will show you all the pockets that I make. So here are the two pockets that we made together, and I just think they are beautiful. I love them. Such a great way to use those books. And I do find those books quite regularly in the second-hand shops, and I hope that wherever you are, you can too, especially here in Australia. I should check where they're from, actually. don't think they are Australian. Netherlands. One would think you find them everywhere. But yes, do keep an eye out for them. 1977 was the first printing. Original edition published in the United States. So yeah, you can probably find them everywhere then. If I find that many here, you know, so here in Australia. So I sat down last night and I made some with the Rose book. So a bit smaller. These are some of the ones that are a landscape aspect. So it's great to have pockets in different sizes and styles. Now do be sure to go in and put your bone folder or a ruler or something down in there just after you glue to make sure that you haven't had glue ooze out that's going to stick bits of your pocket together. I did not double check, which I should have, but most of them are pretty good. So that one's a little stuck in the corner, so I'll work on that one. But aren't they beautiful? I love them so much. Beautiful pockets. Plain, quick, easy to make. Yellow rose. Now here's one where I left the border on, and I left the name of the plant down there as well. I just scored around and left longer flaps so I could fold up. So you could do this with any books, you know, as long as you've got enough to be able to fold over and fit the back and make your little flaps. I have done it with an indoor plant book that I get a lot of as well, and that makes some beautiful pockets. And then I've got this one, which is a bigger picture, and I left the border just on the top there. And like I said, you could add little embellishments, clusters, laces, when you go to add it to your journal, if you want, or stamping or inking. But I think making a whole lot up like this and just having them to the side for when you want to use them would be really, really handy. So I will be making a lot more of these in the future. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're able to find some books that you can use like this. Take care of yourselves. Happy crafting, and I will see you again soon. Bye.